Well, this is a first because I've actually had a wrestler now interviewing in a car. This is the very first for me.
Well, like I said, I've got a 4-month-old in the house, so it's better to be out here and a bit quieter.
Yeah, I was just saying before we came on the air that you're so busy you don't get time for yourself, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm sure my wife would say different.
The across talk to Flex, we've got tons of stuff to talk about. We've got fan questions, we've got something from Danny Marks. I can't wait, obviously, to get the answers on this. Enough rambling on. Let's roll the intro. Boom, Flex, massive thank you for being on the show, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you very much. How are you?
No, not too bad. Using stuff like that. I've got to ask, how did you cope with the heat last week?
I like the heat. I do. Can't get enough of it. Hotter the better. It's the mugginess I don't like, where it's a bit overcast. I'd rather, if it was sunny and hot, I'm happy. If it's just muggy, I'm not a fan.
You're the only person who I know actually likes the heat.
Oh no, I love it. Makes me think I'm on holiday.
Now, as I said, mate, we're only on Tuesday, but have you done much this week?
No, not yet this week. Been lucky. Where I work, I do two on, two off shifts. So this week I've been lucky. Monday, Tuesday off. So yeah, back in over the next couple of days.
Awesome. So yeah, mate, we're talking obviously about your career in wrestling and stuff like that. Let's obviously start at the beginning, Flex. How does it all begin?
Well, so I was always a fan. Always a fan of wrestling. Always wanted to get into it, but grew up on the outskirts of Boston, if you know it. Yeah. So there was nothing back then. Absolutely nothing. But there was a training school in Nottingham, which was about an hour away. So for my 16th birthday, my parents surprised me after talking to one of the local wrestlers, guy called Mad Dog Manning. He advised going down to what is now House of Pain Wrestling in Nottingham. So yeah, from age of 16 or 17 at the time, started training, and why am I now 35? So nearly 20 years ago.
And what was that first training session like for you?
I loved it. So lucky in the respect that my first training session, we had the ring up, which was only there on show days, really, or show weekends. The rest of the time we were training in a dojo on judo mats. So first time in a ring, I got to take bumps and have a feel of what it was actually like.
And what was that first bump like?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I had a background in doing judo, so I'd already kind of learned my break falls and stuff. And so as soon as it was going and do a bump, it felt quite normal for me. I was lucky.
Awesome. I'm just looking through your cage match and stuff like that. And I've recently just seen that you've been at NGW. How did that all come about?
That I believe was more than likely through Styx. I mean, we're talking years ago. It was Styx and Colossus Kennedy as tag champs, and me and Lucas Black at the time, my tag partner, came down, and we had a 5-minute squash. Just got chucked around. I had a horrible chest infection, so I was feeling rough as anything. So really enjoyed the whole setup they've got there, though. Even I mean, what we're talking, that was 10 plus years ago. And to see them now and the shows they're putting on is amazing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the one obviously I know you from really well is obviously Fight Factory. How did that all begin?
Very lucky that I knew Hayden from. We started talking at a RDW event that they used to run in Grimsby, kind of almost like a precursor to BWR, I think. So they got talking. Well, I got talking to Dutch. We were doing security at a show. Ended up talking, got on. X amount of years later, there's a show in Lincoln that I get a booking for, and he's there. And yeah, they've been very kind. Him and Becca continue to use me ever since.
Yeah, and the one thing I like is like the whole they're when it comes to Fight Factory, they're big on the health and safety aspect.
Yes, yeah, no, definitely. Becca being a registered nurse, Hayden with his sports sports background in terms of gym and everything, personal training. They're big on making sure everyone is looked after.
100%. And what's some of the things obviously Dutch has taught you?
Um, to be honest, I haven't really been at the Fight Factory training. Like I said, we he. I'd love to say that he's taught me all this gym stuff, but truthfully, looking at me, that's a lie. But no, they've just just wonderful people, really, really good. Getting some of my most fun matches have been with Dutch, where we've just gone out, haven't really talked much beforehand, and just fed off what reactions we're getting, and kind of molding what we do around that. So yeah, that I think.
So for people obviously listening who's not familiar with yourself, who is Flex Buffington, the character?
Flex Buffington, the character, is a guy who looks like he's just wandered in off the streets. Looks nothing like a wrestler, but in his head, certainly started off believing he was, 7 foot bodybuilder, jacked, and just would constantly be shown up for that. And then it's kind of just evolved to a point where I'm just daft now. The bodybuilding stuff, other than drawing on my 6-pack and my muscles, we've gone past that. I'm just a very strange man.
And that's the one thing I like is I know because some people, when it comes to the comedy side of wrestling, some people dig it, some people don't. But what's your opinion on that?
I think wrestling's great in terms of there's something for everyone. I've been very lucky that I was taught, for years house pain wrestling. I can wrestle a match, but that's not what I enjoy doing. I enjoy doing the pantomime sort of interacting with the crowd, all the silly stuff. If you think of a wrestling show like a pantomime, I'm, Widow Twanky or whatever, coming in just there for the laughs, the light relief, and then off I go again. So that's, I get where people would not like it, and there's been times I've watched a show and I've not enjoyed certain bits of it, but you know that there's going to be something different that you will like coming up soon.
And I like what you said there, the fact that there's something for everybody. Do you know what I mean? There's so many different shows. You've got like your hardcore wrestling fans, like for deathmatch wrestling, you've got your comedy side, you've got this, you've got that. I mean, I think you're spot on there, what you said there.
Oh yeah, no, lovely. It's like I said, um, I've done all types of shows as well. I've done your camp shows, your adult shows. The first Kumite show, the deathmatch company, I was their first match, I believe, doing a softcore match. So, you know, it's I think there's a place for comedy on everything. It's just how it's used.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us a little bit about the cam shows for Fight Factory, because I've only recently discovered this.
Yeah, well, I mean they're great. I don't do much of the camp show ones for Fight Factory, but the ones I have done, love them. It's just great. You get small crews, you go down, you set up the ring, you get to just have fun. The crowd aren't your typical wrestling fans. You know, if the kids are there, the kids are excited to watch the wrestling. The parents are there because, you know, trying to keep the kids happy. So they're either gonna sit on their phones and not be bothered, or they're gonna actually, you know, interact and try and amuse themselves. So you get different kinds of reactions to what you'd get on your typical wrestling show, and you get to think outside the box a bit more.
In what sense do you mean think outside the box?
So again, like I said, in terms of the reactions and stuff, if your typical match, you know, you could in theory say, well, I'll go from this spot to this spot, this spot to this spot, and you know, certainly if you're a regular at a certain venue, you know that the regular crowds, what they react to, and you can plan ahead. Whereas at a camp show, you don't know who you're getting, you don't know what they're going to react to. So you've got to almost feel them out and do certain bit, you know, a little bit of this sort of style or a little bit of this style, and then adapt what you're doing to match the response that you get.
Yeah. One thing I hear a lot as well with wrestling fans is like what they call the quote unquote the dead crowd. Have you ever had that?
Yeah, yeah. I think everyone has, but I think for it's easy to blame the crowd. I think sometimes you go out and go, oh, they're just not reacting tonight. Well, it might not be the case. It might be the case that what you've offered them, they haven't reacted to. So again, that's about changing your approach to make sure that you are getting the reaction. Um, just say simple thing. I've had it before where I've wrestled on a show and come back and gone, oh, you know, I really tried to get them in. I was clapping and they weren't reacting. And someone pointed out they've all got drinks in their hands. So why would they clap? And again, that was an example of me coming back and going, oh, the crowd are rubbish. Actually, no, it was me not adapting what I was doing to get the reactions.
I get where you're coming from. That it's like there's so many different elements you've got to take into consideration, whether you're performing in like 50 people, 200 people, 1,000 people, as an example.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's yeah, it's I think it's not credited enough how much you've got to think on your feet in terms of that. You've got to remember bits and come up with bits at the same time. It's a real mess in your head of I've got to do this and that and try and adapt everything. It's a lot more complicated than I think people realize.
Yeah, I was going to expand on that, which is what's one thing you think fans will never understand when it comes to wrestling?
Um, I mean, there's many things, isn't there? You get the typical, oh, does it hurt? And that look where they go, oh, it does hurt. So you're doing this deliberately, and you're coming back, and you're bruised and battered, and you knew it was going to hurt, but you still went out and did it. I think for a lot of people, it's that. What on earth are you doing, knowing you're going to get hurt and still doing it?
I think that's a fair comment. So when you look back, what's some obviously your like personal highlights?
Um, so got quite a few nice memories. Like I said, I've been doing it nearly 20 years now, so been lucky in respect of seen different things and experienced different things. First time I did I did a few shows in Jersey and Guernsey with a crew. Went over on the ferry where everyone was throwing up. Rushed to get the ring set up in this 5-star hotel in front of people who really didn't want to watch wrestling. And then rush back down to kind of jog on to Jersey and set up in a completely different venue, a huge kind of sports hall in front of hundreds of people, all within the space of 24 hours, just the two complete opposite sides of wrestling. That was good. Thinking as well, getting to do your adult shows. One of my favorite spots I've ever done is buying an inflatable 3-foot penis and kind of gaffer taping it onto myself, and having a spot where I was force fed Viagra and came out 3 minutes later or whatever with a massive erection and using that for spots. And just that side of things, the how daft can I go without it going too daft? I'm sure people would say that is too daft, but yeah, that sort of thing is what I enjoy and what I'll look back on after I've stopped.
I don't even know where to go with after that comment.
It was great. It was, the one of the screenshots of that was my Tinder picture for when I was single. It was great, wonderful.
Let's swiftly move on, shall we?
Um,
Many injuries?
Not many, but what I have had is I broke my ankle in a match and didn't realise and carried on wrestling. And what happened was the bone was broken, and then as I carried on, the bone went like that. So I've got a screw in my ankle, putting that together. And another time I broke the bone in my arm just there. Did a spinning back fist, which I'd never done. Didn't judge it well and smacked the guy in the head. Ended up breaking my arm on his head.
Wow, did he have any injuries on his head? Or
No, yeah, it's massive thick head, bless him. So he was all good. He was
wow.
fine.
I don't even. Wow, I'm still like blown away what you said earlier. Oh, have we lost? I think his connection's a bit struggling.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's signaling a little bit thinking. Then carry on.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's it. That's the, like I said, the daftness of wrestling and what I enjoy. That pushing how silly I can go.
It's like boundaries, though, isn't it? In a way.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm sure I've crossed them many, many times. You know, there's been certain promo videos that I've had to take down and redo over the years because I've gone too far with stuff. But yeah, I think I enjoy pushing that and seeing how far I can go.
Is there any crowd reactions which obviously stick with you? Obviously, with your character.
Say again, sorry.
Is there any crowd reactions which stick with you, like unique ones?
Yeah, I think so. The first time I wrestled for Southside, a few years ago, I was kind of, nobody knew who I was. No one was bothered. I thought, but got such a big reaction, and because that was a big company at the time, first time that I'd wrestled for a big company, and to get a reaction like that was amazing. Just getting recognized after the show as well by fans who had seen, I think on the show there was your Alistair Blacks and Chris Masters and all these names, and still to know that I was still memorable enough that people came and said hello to me was nice.
Absolutely. So, obviously you're a family man and stuff like that, but how do you juggle family life, work life, and wrestling life? Because that's not going to be easy.
No, to be fair, wrestling took a backseat a long time ago. I do just predominantly wrestle for Fight Factory now. I haven't looked for outside bookings for many years, just because, as I've said, my home life, work life take priority over wrestling, unfortunately. But I still get to do it, once, twice a month. So it fits in where it can.
Yeah, so I imagine you don't get time to yourself with anything. Then let's be honest.
I get a bit of time in an evening, just to go to the gym. That that is it.
Wow. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, credit props to you, man. Do you know what I mean? Juggling all that.
It's not too bad. It is, like I said before, I'd rather be busy than sat twiddling my thumbs.
No, absolutely, and stuff like that. So, before obviously you go out and perform and stuff like that, how do you get yourself like into the zone?
Um, it's always different. I used to get a lot more nervous and really kind of get in my own head about stuff. But as the years have gone on, now it's just a case of draw my abs on, have an energy drink, and just kind of wait, because I think the character has changed to just being daft, which is what I am anyway. I don't have to necessarily adapt much. I can quite easily just walk out from having a conversation and I'm still myself, really.
Okay, that's fair and stuff like that. So, flipping that question 180, how do you wind down after a match?
Um tend to just kind of sit on my own. I'll come back, I'll speak to who I've wrestled. If anybody's been about and watched, I'll ask for their opinion. And then I just tend to sit and just have a bit of quiet time to kind of think about how it's gone, what I could have done better. Um, yeah, that tends to be it now.
You're definitely getting older and wiser, aren't you?
I'm definitely getting older. Yeah,
So, obviously, there's a lot of people who's not been to a Fight Factory show. What can they expect when they go?
I think Fight Factory has got a bit of something for everyone. They've got long running storylines to get people invested into coming back to the shows. You've got really talented students that are coming up from their training school, that Dutch has put in a lot of time and effort, and it shows in how they are coming through, and the talent that they've got. So you've got all sorts of different matches and characters. They're really big on characters and trying to get people to put something different into each match. So you won't go to a Fight Factory show and find two matches of the same, or we have a cage match show where every match is in a cage, but you won't find that two matches are the same on that either. So even on a show with a big gimmick like that would take all the attention, everyone is different, and it provides entertainment, I think.
Yeah, the one thing I like about the Fight Factory as well is I love the show names. Like, I think you got on the Book of Morgan, which I think is just really
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah, no, they really are good with it. They've, over the last few years especially, they've films and stuff they've adapted into shows. It's good, it's clever.
Absolutely. So when we put on Instagram, obviously fans could send some questions in, so we're going to knock these out of the park. First one
Yep.
came from JLC, and it says, not a question, but telling me some guy and JLC misses him.
Oh, that's very sweet. I miss him too. He's a good boy, is JOC.
Incredible. Referee Danny Mark sent two questions in. It says, favorite flight or... Let me just make sure I read this right. Favorite flight of the Concorde song?
Mother Uckers, I think. I enjoy that one. I think, or let me think. There's too many business time. Business time. If anybody isn't aware of Flight of the Concords, if you go and type that into YouTube and watch the video, I had me in stitches first time I saw it.
And his second one, and I can't wait till the backstory of this one. It says, "Are you proud of creating Mike Raffone's nickname? And what is this nickname?"
It's Mike Rapinus. So I very very cleverly thought that if I started a chant of micropenis on a show for this chap, it would die after one show. However, what's happened is it's travelled around the different venues with him, and we're talking well over a year since that match, and people are still chanting it at him. And yeah, it's a good example of me pushing boundaries and maybe going a tad too far. Bless him, he's a lovely guy, and I feel awful that is how he's thought of.
What's he said to you about
He's, I mean, nothing to my face. He's probably said a lot behind my back. But no, he's been very, very respectful about me ruining his life.
And the final fan question was, favorite food to bring on a road trip?
Favorite food. I don't know. I think you think wrestlers going on a road trip, you think like a Tupperware full of rice and tuna and stuff. I just like bringing my wallet and stopping off at a services and just seeing what there is. I can't go with one thing constantly. I need something different each time. I need a bit of a variety. So
Okay.
any service station that's different.
Okay. I want to follow on from that question actually. And have you got any like funny road trip stories you don't mind sharing?
Oh God, you got for me those road trips are quite a long time ago. It's probably the ferry going. Probably the whole Jersey and Guernsey trip. So we ended up finding out that there was a film crew camera, not film crew. There was a film crew filming the events as well. Quite a couple of lads who were doing this, and this money guy who was funding the show. Turns out that they were filming certain other things in the hotel rooms between themselves to then sell on later on. And that came out after, as we are traveling back, they've had a bottle or two of vodka on the ferry on the way back. And we get into a wonderful conversation about the art of gay porn and drag queens and stuff, as that is what was happening behind the scenes while we were setting up shows.
Well, what can I say to that?
Well, it's surprisingly the two go very, very hand in hand.
So, what's the biggest thing you've learned in wrestling? It could be in the ring, it could be outside the ring.
Don't do shows in Jersey and Guernsey. I think sensibly it would be, especially for myself. I think I spent a lot of time when I was younger coming through, very anxious, very in my own head, worrying what people thought, doing the gimmick that I was doing. It was very much to protect myself, because of how I viewed myself. So I thought if I could just laugh at myself, then other people will laugh. And so I think it's just to not worry so much. there's a lot of times looking back where I wish I'd asked for advice or asked for feedback, but I got in my head too much about approaching people and what their response might be rather than just going and doing it. Because once I got over that, it opened up a lot more learning opportunities for me.
Okay, it's a different answer. Normally it's like I normally get the answer like it's community.
Oh, I never talk to anyone. I'm a loner. So,
Dear. So, do you get the chance to watch wrestling from like a fan's point of view?
yeah, so I'll watch when I can. It seems to just kind of be your snippets on TikTok or whatever these days. But I love watching as much as I can, whether it is, the odd snippets of deathmatch wrestling or gross out, disgusting comedy spots that have gone wrong or anything. I'd watch anything wrestling, even now.
Okay. So we've got two shows coming up for Fight Factory. Let me just get the image up so you can obviously promote it.
Yeah.
Let it load up. There you go. Do you want to promote this?
Yes, please. So this Saturday coming up, we've got the Book of Morgan at the NK Leisure Centre in North Highcombe. This is the show for Fight Factory itself. It's going to be a very good show. We're going to see the culmination of probably a year and a half storyline between Jack Maxwell and KD over the junior heavyweight belt. We've got fantastic talent, both from the academy, such as your Jason Morgans there at the front, your Harry Johnsons, but you've got the outside talent like Reese and Rogan, Hardman Dan, Visage, all these amazing characters and fantastic wrestlers that are coming to put on a cracking show. And then the week after, so on the 5th of July, we've got Fight Factory versus PPW. Get very excited for that. Having a look at Pursuit Pro Wrestling and seeing the characters they've got, the work they've put into their training school, and getting the opportunity to work with some of their talent is going to be fantastic. You're going to see matches there at the X Church in Gainsborough that you're not going to get to see again for quite a while. So it's well worth the trip.
Yeah, I'm definitely. I can't wait to see what matches get announced because there's a couple of talent there. Which, do you know when I'm thinking about it now? Do you know like KD versus I don't know Liam Slater as an example? That's something you're never really going to see.
No, exactly, and that's what I love about these company versus company matches. The amount of potential matchups and stuff that are going to come from this is going to be great, and you're not realistically going to get much of an opportunity to see those matches again. So it's worth coming down and seeing that on its own.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll put links to obviously for Fight Factory in the description so fans can jump from this, go check it out and stuff like that. Like I said, there's some incredible talent and stuff like that. So a few little more questions, mate, as we begin to wind down.
Yeah,
I imagine you've got not many goals then, obviously, because you're like I said, you've got family life and stuff like that. So is there any goals for you?
just now, just to kind of pass on the little bits I do know to newer people coming on. Just I want to see other people succeed where I've not. So, as I've said, that anxiety that held me back before and tips that I didn't get until later on, I want to pass on now so I can see it take an effect on people and see where they can go with it. So, my goals aren't so much me focused now rather than just trying to pass on stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Because in the UK scene as well, there's some incredible, up and coming talent through every single training school.
Loads. It's I think when it felt like the whole world was looking at British wrestling a few years ago, it definitely feels like it's on the up again. And there's going to be a very strong, there's already a very strong scene, but it's going to keep getting better and better.
I was going to ask, how would you describe the UK scene right now?
I think I think there's a growth kind of coming back. I think we had a such a high peak a couple of years ago, especially at the rise with Progress, and all the talent there, and then obviously the WWE UK tournament and what came from that. I think we felt a bit of a lull afterwards, but it's definitely on the rise again. You look at, like I said, the talents in this country, and then the talents that have then gone on to achieve stuff. I look at Gabe Kidd, who I remember as a 13-year-old kid walking into a training school for the first time and seeing where he is now, and people like that achieving these things are going to bring the eyes back onto the British wrestling scene, and I think the talent that there is now are well capable of carrying that attention and building on it.
Yeah, and the one thing I like when I think of the UK scene is like you go to a wrestling show, you say you watch it, a prime example like a Lizzie Evo, that's just a prime example. But then you discover new talent, and I do that every single time I go to a show. I'm like, oh, who's this person? Let me check this person out. And you go down like a rabbit hole.
Yes, it's great. It's great. Like I said, that's what I love about wrestling, that there is so many different parts to it. You're not going to have two matches the same, and through that you're going to find different talents and different kind of characters and things to invest in. It's great.
100%. Flex, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate, to chat to you. Hope you've enjoyed yourself today.
I have pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Not a problem. So I need two things from you. Number one is the anything you want to plug?
The two Fight Factory show, well, Fight Factory and the Fight Factory and PPW show coming up are the two big ones. I've got, all my social media stuff is at Flex Buffington. Please don't message me because I won't answer, but give me a follow. That is it. That is it. And the training school, actually, the Fight Factory training school, I think they are doing a great job in Lincoln, just off Doddington Road. I think again, what they've got there and their eyes for growing talent is brilliant. So if there's anyone in the local area who wants to give the school a look, I'd absolutely 100% recommend going down.
100%. Like I said, you learn from us as somebody who I really respect in Dutch and stuff like that. You may even see Flexi, you never know.
Maybe if I can be bothered to go, then yeah, I'll definitely pop down.
Absolutely. And so one final thing from me now. Everyone I interview gets to do the outro for this show. So they can say anything they want, they can promote anything they want, and I will hit the outro. Flex, take it away.
Oh God, the pressure. Thank you very much, everyone, both of you, for listening to this. It's been as painful to speak to it as it must have been to watch. Thank you very much.